We're so distant from the idea of empathy that we don't sometimes even know what the word means. We know it sounds like sympathy. Sympathy is to understand where somebody else is coming from, to acknowledge somebody else's pain. Empathy is to feel their pain. To feel their pain. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, exhibited this beautiful, unbelievable quality of empathy. And I want to share a very quick, rapid lesson. So try to stay with me. I just want to share a couple of examples of this empathy in regards to different people, how he would practice his empathy with different people. It didn't matter who they were. When Ikrimah, the son of Abu Jahl, Abu Jahl was the man who declared war against the Prophet. The Muslims and Islam, he had killed Muslims just for believing. He had tortured Muslims just for believing. And he was at the head of multiple plots to assassinate the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He eventually led an army into the battlefield with the intent of killing the Prophet. This man made it very clear what his position was in regards to the Prophet Muhammad and Islam, and eventually died with those same convictions. His son, who had fought by the side of his father, he is now coming to Mecca to meet the Prophet Muhammad after the conquest of Mecca. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he receives the news that Ikrimah has entered Mecca, he is on his way to see him. The Prophet turns to his companions and he says his father's name was Amr ibn Hisham. And they used to call him Abu al-Hakam, father of the wise, because he was leader of his people. But the Muslims used to call him Abu Jahl, father of ignorance, because of his actions and his conducts. So the Prophet turns to the Muslims, the believers, and says, Ikrimah is coming. I'm hopeful that he will embrace and accept Islam. In his presence, none of you should refer to his father as Abu Jahl, because it would hurt his feeling. Even if he becomes a Muslim and recognizes that his father was wrong in his beliefs, his ideas, and what he did, it is still his father. And it would hurt his feeling to hear people, his new brothers and sisters in faith, to refer to his father as the father of ignorance. So do not refer to him as Abu Jahl in the presence of his son Ikrimah. This is the graciousness of the Prophet. This is the empathy. He understands how we would feel in that situation. One of the main conspirators against the Prophet, the head of the hypocrites in Medina, Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, his son, comes to the Prophet saying that my father has died, and I know that he was completely opposed to you, and he said terrible, reprehensible things about you, but he was my dad, and I worry about him. The Prophet on the spot removes his shirt, takes off his own shirt and gives it to him, and he says, wrap him in this. Use this as his shroud and bury him. What would you do to have the shirt of the Prophet? Can you imagine being buried in the clothing of the Prophet? What an honor, what a blessing. And even though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it clear this would not forgive his sins and what he had done wrong, but the Prophet had at times thinking of the son and putting himself in the son's place. Imagine what he feels like losing his father. That's empathy. That's empathy. Very touching story. His grandson Hussein, the son of Ali and Fatima radiallahu anhuma. Hussein was the younger of two brothers, Hassan and Hussein. May Allah be pleased with both of them. So the younger one, Hussein, used to stutter. He had very severe stutter to the point where he could not even complete a sentence. It would take him time to finish a sentence. And what makes it even worse is that he's a child. This is very traumatic and very detrimental to the development of a child. What makes it even more difficult is the fact that the older brother, Hassan, was very eloquent and was spoken to a very gifted public speaker. So think about the pressure that puts on the younger brother who is stuttering so much. And when kids start to get a little bit older, they're 4 or 5 years old, and they start to develop a little bit of courage and they like to talk. One time the Prophet Muhammad was sitting with quite a few companions, and his grandsons are sitting with him because they love him. So the younger one who stutters starts to chime and says something They used to talk to him. He starts to say something. The Prophet Muhammad used to afford each and every person so much respect that when somebody would speak, he would become quiet. He would not just turn towards him with his face, he would turn towards with his chest. And he would look at them while they spoke. And so he starts to speak, and the Prophet stops and turns towards him. And so everybody there also starts to listen. And the kid is stuttering so badly that it starts to become awkward. And some of people naturally, or viciously, not maliciously, start to exchange some glances, almost feeling bad for the kid because he cannot even get through a single sentence. So it starts to get really kind of like awkward. So the companions, they looked at the face of the Prophet. How is he reacting? And they said he had a big smile on his face. And he was looking at Hassan smiling. And listening to him quietly. Didn't care if it took him 5 minutes for him to finish what he was saying. But I let him finish. At that time, he turns to everybody else that is sitting because everyone was so worried and awkwarded. لقد ورثها عن عمه موسى. He inherited this from his uncle Moses. Since Musa, alayhi salam, used to stutter, they don't feel bad for him, but invite him that he shares a trait with one of the great prophets of God. He turned negative into positive. Empathy. Empathy beautifies a person's conduct and character. It's the quality of a prophetic character.